How about another song? So, hey, congratulations for being here. It's Friday. It's my favorite go today, and you are here. I'm so excited to have you here. Let's get it started. I was playing some good music to prep myself up, and today is a very special day because we're going to talk about important stuff of the mastermind principle. And I got my Danish friend joining me here now. Hey, Andre, what's happening? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Hello, hello. Andre, can you hear me? You're probably still tuning in. Hey, Andre. How are you?
Hey.
Good to see you. You're dressing warm too. Is it cold in Denmark?
Yeah. It's about what, 8 Celsius.
Oh, you okay? We're -1 here, and it's chilly, but it feels like -5, -6, or something like that, because we're on the coast, you know.
Yeah, we have a lot of rain, so it may be a little warmer, but on the other hand, I have to be out there 2 hours with the dog, so.
Oh, you just are out for 2 hours with the dog?
Yeah, every morning we go for 2-3 hours.
Oh, okay. Did you say you had to go again now?
No, I don't have to go yet, but Denmark is playing soccer tonight, so I have to go soon.
European qualifier?
Yeah, we have to beat Slovenia tonight.
Well, that's a tough team, so that's nothing to scuff off. I'll be going to a little like a opera symphony kind of thing tonight in the church. Actually, they're raising money for the Ukrainian kids. So it's like nice. SOS Children's City, they call it. So I guess they look after them. So it's a guy in my hometown that's doing a big fundraiser. So there'll be about 300 people there or so. So it'll be nice.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah. How are you doing with that? Since we last talked, how are you doing on your book? Have you gotten any steps forward?
Thank you for asking, but no, not really.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes sometimes, you know. You got to find your groove, and it's a matter of making a habit out of it, right?
Yeah.
So, did you ever read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear? Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
No, it's a really good book, actually. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks about just making micro changes in your life. Makes such a huge difference. If you can improve by 1% every day, can you imagine what that'll do for the whole year, right? It's huge. There's this trainer coach for the English cycling team, road racing, right? Like bicycling. He's famous for that. They just made very small changes all along the way, like the way they got rid of dust in the trucks. They painted all the trucks white inside so they could keep it clean of dust. And another thing he had all his team members do when they were traveling, they all brought their own pillow, because the pillow usually had the biggest effect on their night sleep. So they had the same pillow they're used to at home.
That's cool.
Yeah, so little tiny changes they did, and it was it's like 60% they started winning after he made those changes over the years, systematically, you know. So just little. So this book is a fantastic book, Atomic Habits. So if you're interested in it, it's a good book to pick up. Yeah,
Atomic Habits. Yeah, okay,
Atomic
I can remember that.
James Clear. So today, actually, I was going to talk about little different things, and right now it's just you and me, and I'm going to record it anyway. So people that missed the call, they'll get the replay. And if you need to leave at some point, Andre, that's also obviously not a problem. So I can start here a little bit if that's okay. It's not
you have an agenda.
Yeah, I have an agenda. How's that? So I read a couple of things. You know, this is new for me, making these meetings here online and everything. And so I did a little reading today on how do you make a meeting interesting. So obviously, I'm trying to follow guys like Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek. I don't know if you heard of Simon Sinek. I think I played a video for him. Yeah, he's if you look him up on TED Talks, he's got like 30 million views or some crap like that. Very, very. So Simon Sinek, Sinek. So Tony Robbins talks about, you know, you need to talk about anticipation. What you're going to learn today is going to be really, really cool. It's going to be very important. It's made huge changes for me in my life. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about as well. So basically, how do you make the meetings, I'm talking about the mastermind meetings, how do you make them fruitful and useful for everyone that's participating? And we have a meeting every week with my Amazon group, and we have a meeting every other week with my other group where we're entrepreneurs, right? So yeah, so that's one of the things that I like to share, like how important these meetings are as we go along. And I am also trying to get some younger people in. I was just talking to a friend of mine last Friday. How he has one is actually a friend of mine too. This guy wants to be an astronaut. So I mean, and that's a huge. He's had that desire since he was a young kid, and he's only, how old is he now? 16, 17, and he just got his pilot license. So they have to fly. They have to fly jets and stuff like that too. There's a lot of things you have to do in order to do that. And the other guy, I don't really know what his goals are, but I say, get on the call, get on some of these calls and start learning about how you can put a group together, And back to what I was saying to you first, I'm going to these social events today. He's actually a family member, and I didn't know he's putting this whole thing together where they're raising the money for the kids in Ukraine. He also made a good amount of money in a company here in Larvik, and he helps people in Botswana I forget the name of the town. I could probably find it here. In Eswatini, and it's down. Yeah, and he.
I don't know it.
Oh, I thought you knew, but it's down in Africa, right? And he built a well for them so they can get water. And every time he comes there, he says there's nothing like it. It's like 400 kids that comes running towards him, and just like because he's changed their life in such a big way. And that's obviously what we're hoping to do as well as we do good things in life and hopefully make more money, right? One of the things that I talked about the other day, I don't think you were on the call then, Andre, but how do you select the members? How do you find the right members to join your team? And one of the things that I used to teach, and I got a new twist on it this week when I listened to another guy called Alex Hormozi. I may have mentioned his name too. He's a fabulous marketer, because one of the things that a friend of mine, Jeff, and I, we were approaching this one guy. He was in the same seminar we were. He was an elderly guy, or quite a bit senior to us, and brilliant. He would sit up front and ask all these questions of Jay Abraham and Tony Robbins and all these people that we went to meetings with, and we thought he was way past us. And one of the things we wanted to do is to figure out how can we be of value to him. Why would he want to join our group, right? So one of the things you look for is that how can you do something for that person to make them want to come and join your group, and you want to try to do something, do a favor before you ask for a favor, right? It's usually the right way to go about it, right? So when I thought about that stuff, now how do you do that? So I thought, okay, my approach before I read this thing now that I'm going to share with you here now in a second, is that how do I would ask them, what is it that you're working on? What is it that you need help with? And then they would have to think about that and kind of try to come up with something. So my friend Alex Hormozi, he said, don't ask them what you are going to have to do for them, because now they have to think about, oh, what the hell are they going to do for me? It's like, so it almost becomes, you become I wouldn't say a nuisance, but you become a problem for them. Now they have to start thinking about how you can help them. Instead, figure out what they're doing and see if you have any skills or abilities that you can do those things better. So his example was, one of the guys that came to him, he saw all these reels, all these short cuts on YouTube, and he went in and studied them, and he happened to have skills in video editing. So he figured out how to do this much better. So instead of asking him, he just went, took the reels, put it together in a different way and said, how do you like this? And he goes, wow. And then one of his directors of the media or something had seen it and said, this guy knows what he's doing. let's take him on. Or so they eat. I don't know if they hired him. He didn't get into that part of it, but he got to get close to him. He got to have an opportunity to connect with him. So you should actually then take on that responsibility to figure out how it is that you can help them before asking them. So if that makes any sense. So yeah. Now what I like to ask, and actually my wife corrected me the other day, I used to say, how much is 1 + 1? Don't say that, because that's a given, that's 2, right? But how much is 1 and 1? So I go, people say 2 normally, right? And I go, no, it's 11. And that's the power of the mastermind, because you create a third invisible intelligence that you can access, that you cannot do alone. And it's actually interesting, the concept of alone, because Napoleon Hill talks about when 2 people get together, they develop a third invisible intelligence that you cannot access alone. It's impossible to access that alone. You have to be in a team of synergy. And Oprah Winfrey says this too. She says you can never succeed alone at a level way past you. Of course, people succeed doing things alone too. I'm not saying that, but at the level you potentially could. So, and that's the same thing with Napoleon Hill. He stresses that in his book. He studied. Did you ever read that book, Andre? Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah, actually I have. Yeah.
And he came up with 17 principles that the rich and the wealthy had, and one of them was the mastermind principle. It's principle number 11, if I remember correctly. And he said all the Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, Henry Ford's, the J.P. Gettys, all these guys had access to a mastermind group. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at the level that they arrived at. So that's one of the key things. So you have
we tend to think of those guys as lone rangers, who operate alone.
Yeah, but they certainly weren't. They had their own mastermind. They had their own group that they could tap into. And and Napoleon Hill, in his book, it's almost a scary thought. He didn't have access. He lived after Henry Ford, and no, wait a second. He was alive when Henry Ford and them lived, but he created his own virtual mastermind team, or fictitious. So he pretended that he had Andrew Carnegie at his table, Henry Ford at his table, J.P. Morgan at his table, wherever so he composed an imaginary, that's how he calls it, not the virtual, an imaginary mastermind team, and he could access it. And he would have, literally, when he found his state, those meetings became so real for him, he writes in his book, that he had to stop them sometimes. He was like, whoa, it's going crazy. It almost sounds like artificial intelligence, right? But he was able to put himself in a state where he could access that. And it's pretty cool. You remember, were you in San Francisco when America's Cup was there? The sailing?
No, I don't.
You weren't?
Vaguely, no, yeah.
Now we're talking 2000, I'm thinking 14, 15, something like that. Do you remember?
No.
Anyway, now this is another example of team spirit, right? So let me tell you a story that happened there. It's because the Australians were there, the Americans were there, the Italians, the Swedes had a boat there, Norwegians weren't there. And the Australians were leading 8-1 over the United States, and they had to just get to 9 to take the whole America's Cup.
Yeah.
Now watch this. So Spithill, the captain of the U.S. team, I remember it as it was yesterday. He gets on a conference with the TV crew and everything for the news, right? And the captain of the New Zealand team was sitting there. Forget his name though. But Spithill said, "Wouldn't it be amazing if we came back down 1-8 and we beat you? Wouldn't that be amazing?" And I was like, oh my God, can you imagine? Wouldn't you know it? He goes ahead to beat them 9-8.
How did he do it?
Well, I like to say it's a team spirit, but he had a hell of a strategy, and obviously a lot of team behind him. I mean, you saw the boats, right? Their own foilers, right? They lifted themselves off of the water and just cut through the water, right? But so it was a new technology that I hadn't seen before. But we were standing there on the waterways, and there was hundreds of thousands of people watching it, because it happened right inside San Francisco Bay, you know, right outside Golden Gate, inside Golden Gate Bridge, and outside the Alcatraz. So how did he do it? Team. My thing is that it was a team spirit, right? So that was the whole thing. So that's he couldn't have done it if it wasn't because of that. And they were sponsored by, I believe it was what's that the big company? Now I forget it actually. Huge software company, Oracle.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yes. I remember that.
Oracle. So when we have these mastermind groups and on the team, you want to foster what do you call it? A culture of communication and trust, and that starts sometimes with you. Like, one of the things that I like to say when you get to know somebody, is when somebody is willing to share something that's vulnerable about them, but very few people know, but something bad may have happened to them, or something that may have made them look bad, and they're able to share it, even in a setting with another person. And I think for a definition, or one of the definitions for me at least, when somebody's able to be vulnerable, it's a sign of a strong person, because they're strong enough or confident enough to say something personal about them and not afraid to be stepped on, even though they could be, and obviously you don't want to find that out, right? So but that's one of the do you
I saw that as something very European when I lived in the US. The Americans or Middle Easterners, they like to be the undisputed bosses, in my experience.
And can you relate to it in some way, in a vulnerable way, or they were pushy?
I've always been the one whining about what bothers me, and at some point I got a feedback from Claudia that maybe I was complaining too much. I think Ulf also mentioned that. But Ulf and I kind of discussed that for us, as him being Swedish and me being Danish, it was a bonding experience. Right? He would tell me about his visit to psychologist and his traumas in his childhood, and I would do that to him. But then we both agreed that Americans don't like that shit. It's like detracts from you as my friend who's successful.
Right.
And I had that experience with my bosses in work environment, that whenever I had a European boss, it'd be like, okay, you're an expert on this, you advise me on that, and I do the other stuff, and that would be fine. But my American bosses, or one guy I had from Iraq, it'd be like they wanted to be, the smartest in every department, and that's not why you're CEO, right? You have to leave it to like the chief of the development, the chief of marketing, or something, right? And
that's right. And trust them that they are better at that than you, because they can't be good at everything, right?
So I was asked to leave because I was asking too many questions, particularly with that Iraqi guy.
But you say Iraqi guy, but he grew up in the US or something, so he had like a US kind of mentality.
He's like Armenian. He grew up in Iraq, and then I guess I mean, he's in US now. And we bonded later. We met at some drinking hole in Silicon Valley many years later, and we kissed each other and loved each other. He had some setbacks later. I mean, he was like fired from the CEO position a year or two later when he was on a flight to Korea. Like behind his back, because they were afraid of him. He's kind of intimidating figure. But I'm with you. I mean, I'm on board with being vulnerable and stuff. But it's a fine balance. I think it's a fine balance. If you lead people, you want to, like that coach you talk about, right? You want to have some blind belief in something. It's not the time to tell about your failures, I guess, when you go in after 8 wins in a row.
No, exactly. So, but I mean, when it comes to these mastermind groups, so it obviously takes time to develop that bond in the group, and that's why I'm saying that mastermind groups that meets on a frequent basis and are small, from 2 to 6 people, is my definition of a mastermind group. Because I have people who says, "Oh, I'm in this group over here. We meet once a month." Yeah, there's like 200 people that shows up to the other event. How the hell do you bond with them? How do you get some rapport? You may be lucky to find a rapport with 1 or 2 people that you're lucky to encounter there, but it's on a whole different level than being in a mastermind where you can go back and they get to know you, that see your ups and downs, because you're not going to have great days every week you get on the calls. So and you show your true colors. So anyway, so that's one of the things that's important in a mastermind too, to be able to be vulnerable. And one of the things we also look for when we choose these members, we encourage diversity, different cultural background, different, I wouldn't say religious background per se, but different education, even different growing up in a different country. You can imagine how a Chinese person is so different from an American person in so many ways, you know. And I went to China. I was extremely impressed with China when I met the people there. I mean, I didn't feel like this was a communist country when I talked to the entrepreneurs I would meet at the trade shows and stuff. These guys were totally entrepreneurs, and they would get money from the government to fund their startups. And I never think anything like that would happen in China, right? Because they're so painted, I think, painted very badly by the Americans too. You know, like, oh, communist, or they steal, I mean, I left China with a very different mindset and impression than I ever was before. So that's one of the things we definitely, what do you call it, value in a mastermind, to have different people. And that's why I actually advocate more than anything to create your online mastermind, so you can access these people all around the world, because you can find them in Facebook and different groups, Reddit, and all over the place, where you collaborate about things, like if you have a topic that you're looking at. So anyway, that's another thing I just wanted to chat about. Now, here's a technique we use, Andre, when we do our mastermind. We do something called a hot seat. Have you heard that term before? Do you know what I mean a little bit, what a hot seat is?
Well, yeah, I guess you let people present something.
Yes, but the way we do it in a mastermind is that, let's say you have an issue that you're working on. So you said, okay, you take virtually, you pretend to be in a seat. You put yourself in a seat, and you get 1 to 2 minutes to explain. Now, obviously, if you're in a mastermind group, we would know what you do, right? But basically, you talk about what you do, who you do it for, and where you do it. Do you do it online, in person, or what have you? And then, so the hot seat person get 1 to 2 minutes to basically state their main question that they need help with from the group, the 4 or 5 other members of the mastermind group. Okay, and then the people there, when they've been the hot seat person been stating that, then they may come with a couple of quick clarifying questions, just to make sure they really understand this person's question, okay, to clear things up. Then the group starts offering solutions, suggestions, how to solve this, okay? And at this point, the hot seat person is not answering back. They basically are taking notes and they're soaking it up. It's not a two-way conversation at that point. And then the hot seat person might be asked, because in the group, we want to know that the hot seat person really understand what it is that we're saying. So we may ask the hot seat person to state what they will do and when they will do it by. Like, what's the big takeaway they got from the feedback from the group? So they're basically going to say back, here's what I'm hearing you saying. I'm understanding that you want me to apply it this way, or what have you. So that way the communication is very clear as to what the hot seat person stated, what they need help with, what the group understood that that this person needed help with, and this person recites back, okay, I get you, here's what you're saying, I understand you saying this, is it this way or that way? And then let's see now, and then we would ask the hot seat person, okay, what are your big takeaways? What is the biggest thing you took away? What are you going to do? And by when are you going to do it? And then that may be 15 days to 30 days or next week. And they will state that back to us and get back to us on that, what they did. So it's actually, now they're being held accountable, but they're also being given very valuable information, maybe even contacts from the group to help them solve, or a follow-up during the week where they might need to they'll hear back from some of the group in the meantime that they needed to get some more information from, what God knows, what have you, right? So everyone chimes in to help that person focus in on exactly what that person. That's a really, really powerful technique for moving somebody forward. And then the next week there could be another person. And you don't do hot seats every time because it takes a lot of time from the group, but everyone benefits because we learn from it, right? So it's not only the hot seat person. So does that make sense? You've kind of heard about.
Well, it does. It just seems to be, it requires people with some goal, some agenda.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it makes sense, even if they're not, if the people don't seem exactly in the line of this is what I need, but they can come with useful advice.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so not everyone will have advice for them there and then, or they can say, hey, I may have access to a friend that can help me with that information. Let me access that person and ask what he or she would do, or so because not everyone in the group that's trying to help the hot seat person will be able to help them right there and then. But maybe you can think of somebody that could help you with an answer or a resource, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens on my mastermind groups all the time too, even though we actually don't have hot seat sessions that often, but I would like to bring it back. But very often I write down what somebody is looking for and I go, okay, that's on my radar. And I'll read something or I'll come across something and I'll make sure to share that with that person. And I'll Skype them immediately if I have an answer. I don't wait till next week. So yeah, we use Skype most of the time because Skype was what it was before Zoom came. Some of these groups have been alive since 24 years, you know. so
yeah, there's nothing wrong with Skype or any of the other ones. They all work just same by now.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do video there now too, you know. Let's see now. You know, okay. Now let's see. I'm just looking at.
So your point is that you've been doing these mind groups for a while. I remember you pointed me to some program where mind map, whatever it was called, where you could like throw down your ideas and connect them with the lines and stuff.
Yeah.
So what you want to do now is spread this idea of mind groups to have more of them.
Yes, my goal, Andre, is to help people form their own mastermind groups. And that's why I was saying to this guy, even this guy that's doing that, I don't know if I finished that story, but the guy that's having the event tonight, the social event, he's helping all these people in Africa, right? I wish as a young man that I had access to and knew about the principle of the mastermind, because it could have helped me so much. And I'm gonna talk to him, and I'm gonna see, can I help? And this is stuff that I will do for free. I will say, how can I help these kids? They're going to be they can't be too young. They probably have to be maybe 15, 16, 17, but they start thinking about stuff, what they want to do in the future. They're starting to get excited about what do you call it, a trade or something like that. And why not form groups and start bringing in maybe even some of the people that are a little bit elder into their group and start brainstorming on how can they take steps right now to get closer to where they want to go, you know? And that's, so I will see if that could be something I could help them with. All it takes from me is to get somebody in that village, so to speak, teach them the principle of the mastermind groups, how they can do it, and then they can take it on to their kids or to their whoever wants to be in a mastermind. Masterminds are for, anyone, doesn't matter the age. But I wish I had something like that, like I said, when I was a young man, because so much energy, so much time, so much passion. There was nothing. I played soccer 7 days a week, Andre. And I didn't have ambitions to be a professional soccer player, but I wanted to be as good as I could be in my hometown, you know. And I ended up playing on the best team in my hometown. It's a small town, but it's still, that a lot of competition.
Join Molde.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good, right?
No, they had Holland.
Oh,
Erling Haaland was playing for Molde.
Of course, exactly. But some of the Norwegian teams are doing well. Speaking of soccer, in the European qualifying now, actually, they're beating some big teams. Yeah. Let's see.
So now. What? So you think a mind group could help you with your soccer?
Absolutely. So a mastermind group could help me. Let's say I wanted to be better at taking a penalty kick. I was never good at doing penalty kicks. Let's say I wanted to get better at doing slide tackles, or let's say I wanted to be a better defender. So then I would go to the best person that I would know on my team, or it doesn't even have to be on my team, but in this case, it would be on my team. What's your mental thinking, and how do you prepare yourself to take a penalty? Have you already decided on what side you're going to shoot it, or do you wait and stutter to see where the goalie go? And how do you do that, right? How do you do a slide tackle? How do you position yourself? Where do you need to be to make sure you get it and don't get a penalty against you, right? That's how I would do it with soccer. And I would do the same with the air duels. And how do I defend myself? Where do you position yourself so that the guy will have a very hard time passing you?
I don't know. That's not the same as my group. I mean, you could ask me, and that would be useless, so to speak, right? So you,
Yeah,
as
I
you
would
said,
ask
you
you.
got to go to some people who are good at it, right?
That's right. That's right. That's the point. I would go to people that are the best at taking penalties, the best at defending, the best at slide tackling.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask them. So that's the simple example there. I don't know did I tell you the example with the kindergarten?
No.
Okay, so here's another example, because mastermind groups can be used for anything. Let's say you have a child in the kindergarten, and that kindergarten can't afford the right tools that would educate and make your child think, because kids are so curious, and it's such an important time for like 5-6 months old till about 2, 3, 4 years old, right? So what if you have a child in the kindergarten? Talk to 3, 4 other parents that have a child in the same kindergarten. You form a little mastermind group, and you start raising funds to buy toys for your kindergarten. Talk to your local businesses that eventually will hire maybe people from your neighborhood, so to speak. Have a cake sale. Do a lottery. All these things. Now you immediately like this. Now you put all these people together. Now you have a group. Much easier to do things. Doing such a thing as alone is almost impossible. It's too much work. And do it together with others. So you can use masterminds for absolutely everything. Writing a book, like you, get together with other authors, get disciplined, write every day, right?
Yeah.
So masterminds works anywhere and should be used because we have to do things together. You cannot make it alone. So anyway, now let me see what else I needed to chat about here.
I know I met this girl here, I don't know, 10 years ago in Denmark, and well, it doesn't matter what she was doing, but then I find out she's writing a book, and then I found out that there's somebody organizes some retreats here. She was at Louisiana, sort of famous new art exhibit on the coast.
Yeah.
So they had like a retreat for authors. So I guess she was there with other authors, and I think she did get a book written. Now I never seen it, like getting big results or stuff. But what you're talking about is there are these websites for finding people who share the same passion or goal, or want to see 49ers, whatever it is, right? It's Meetup is something like that, right?
Meetup is tons of meetup groups. I would call this girl up and find what's your big takeaway for that. I mean, even if it is 10 years ago, and maybe she could give you some pointers. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, because she's done it. Now she's raising a child alone. Yeah. But that's a good point. I should ask other who have written a book, actually. Yeah.
And she may know of other authors that are still writing books that she can introduce you to, and where you form a little group, where you keep yourself accountable. You got it. I mean, we're all, I wouldn't say lazy, but it's hard to stay focused if you don't have somebody else you can work together with as well either, right? I remember when I played soccer, if I didn't show up for soccer training, if I didn't train hard, I'd be left in the dust. I need to exercise, I need to run, I need to sprint, I need to work on my strengths, all of that constantly, So same thing with writing a book. It's like a muscle you got to do. Like Mike Michalowicz, the author with the Profit First, right? You remember remember I told you he meets with 10 other writers every day, and they just sit there and write. They get on Zoom, and then turn. So
she's at the door.
Is it the dog?
The other dog. There's nobody there.
Is it the growling?
Yeah, she's growling.
Really?
Oh, she wants to. What are you standing there for?
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah,
dog. It's a she.
she
It's a
just had
she,
a.
huh? It's a she.
She had a haircut a couple of days ago,
Oh, good, good.
so she looks very elegant. Come here, Katja. That's Kirigno. It's all good. Come,
She's
part of the
watching over you.
mastermind. Mastermind. It's
Mastermind.
Alf.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's good
So
stuff. Yeah, come
yeah,
on, good
so
stuff. Talk
yeah.
to Alf. Sorry.
So anyway, I mean, it's not that much more to it for me today, Andre. I mean, but the importance is when you start, if you want to build a mastermind, it's important to get that you vet the people, you get the right people in your group, people that are willing to help you. They're also motivated too. That was the first thing we looked for when we started our Amazon group. Who is looking to do Amazon full time? Who's serious? Who's going to make a living out of it? Are they helpful? Are they smart? Are they constantly kind of educating themselves and moving? And are they, are they easy to get along? They're not dominating the conversation. Are they good listeners? In other
That's a
words,
good point. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people who like an outlet for their stream of thought. Talk and
that's
talk
right.
and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, I'm having some thoughts that whatever it was 50 years ago, 40 years ago by now, I was going to technical university and I had a group of 3 other friends and we would meet every week to play bridge.
there you go.
And it was just wonderful, right? And now since I came back, I've seen them maybe once a year, twice a year. But right now we all have retired.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking it would be fun to meet at least like this. But I think one of them is he became a professor, so now he's a professor emeritus. So
Really nice.
he's allowed to come when he wants. He can do what he wants. So he still has a job. The other 2 don't have a job anymore. So one of them took up some kayaking. The other one is doing yard work. I'm walking the dog.
Yeah.
But see, we're all kind of people without a goal. But I think it'd be just nice to see them once a week like this. And
Are they in Copenhagen?
we may find something that we want to do together or help each other with.
That's right. Are they in Copenhagen?
Yeah, they're all around here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But sometimes it's easier with online because it's instant and you don't have to travel. So sometimes, but then decide to meet maybe once a month in person or something, or every other month in person.
Yeah, exactly. And the Scandinavian culture, it's like you got to invite them, you got to cook, and
I know.
Me without Catherine or without a wife, I'm not much of a cook. Last time one of them invited me and Catherine. My God, I mean, such a spread. They made like 7 different dishes. I can't do that just to talk with someone.
But then decide to meet for coffee. Make it simple. Just meet in a restaurant.
But that gets harder at our age. When I used to like drop from the sky from US, then it would be like, let's meet this place in town and have a drink.
Easy, yeah.
And now we're in the 60s. I got to go to my summer house, fix things. Things are harder. Good piece of soccer advice. Maybe you can use it. I saw some clip with Beckham. David Beckham. I don't know if you've seen the documentary on
Netflix. I loved it. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But this was like some talk show he was at, so they asked him what Messi contributes to the Miami team.
Yeah.
Well, he says the great thing is not only that he plays on the first team, but he also is part of the academy.
Oh.
So I think they asked some kid at the academy what he got from Messi. And he said, well, he got this great advice that walking is very important because while you walk, you look around who is where so that when you get the ball, you know what to do with it or where it possibly can go.
Messi walks a lot in a game. If you know what is, he walks.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense because these days he's not the lightning fast. He walks a lot, but once he gets the ball,
he's always walked. He's always walked. Then given the ball, it's like fireworks. This guy is amazing. He's by far the best player in the world, if you ask me. By far. Yeah. Complete.
Well, yeah, and you see these highlights that he finds these passes that are just incredible.
I know. Passes, moves, dribbles. It's ridiculous. This guy, and he's not selfish. Yeah, people say, "Oh, Ronaldo's like he's the most cocky son of a gun I've ever seen on the soccer field." But you know Ronaldo, right? Obviously, right?
Yeah, but he's good. I like
Of course,
Ronaldo.
he's good, but he's cocky. Messi is not cocky. Ronaldo is
No,
cocky.
yeah, there has been a thing other than tax evasion for both him and Ronaldo, but yeah, there hasn't been any scandal with him, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, hey Andre, I don't want to keep you too long, but it's a food for thought for you here to maybe call these 2 guys or 3 guys that were, that you were in touch with before, that you played bridge with,
Well, that's one thing, and
and maybe that
another
goal.
another food for thought is, I'm seeing a psychologist every 2 weeks.
Cool.
I have had my daughter has gone a little cuckoo, so it was a
Uh-oh.
good time. Yeah, she decided to hate me, like classical story. My father is the reason for all my misery.
Oh.
So my psychologist asked me at the last session, so what is this about this book?
Yeah.
So I'm telling her my life story. And first she asking me, so, my dad was murdered when I was
Yeah, you told
8,
me.
9 years old, right?
Yeah.
So she asked me, what do you remember about your dad? I'm like, yeah, I remember some facts, but she says, do you remember how he was feeling? Oh, no, not really. Or how you were feeling? No. And then she says, well, when you write the book, you got to get inside people's emotions, because
Right.
I see the problem with my book writing is I'm an engineer, like how I can come with fact, went here, came there.
Yeah.
But that's not a good book, right? You got to get people inside the mind of people.
That's right.
So that's been sort of my challenge that I've been thinking about it. I got to get better at reading and conveying emotions of people, and I
Yes.
think that's very important in life.
Yeah.
My dog is good at it. When somebody does want to play soccer with her, she's like, okay, I walk away.
She likes they play with the ball. So yeah.
Yeah, she's really good at it. Because she's off the leash a lot, otherwise she doesn't get much exercise just walking.
Yeah.
And so if she sees people playing ball, she runs in.
Yeah.
And usually, even though she's a big black dog, she doesn't scare kids. They can see she comes friendly.
Yeah.
So if they want to play with her, then that's fine. She can head. She's a defender and
Nice.
gives the ball back. And if they don't want to play, then she can sense that they take the ball and wait for me to arrive later,
Yeah.
and then I just come and then we go further. There's no she doesn't insist to stay there if they don't want to play with her. So that's kind of amazing to see the emotional intelligence of the dog.
Very good. Very good.
And the soccer intelligence. She could beat you. Well, she's a good defender. What can I say?
Very good. Very good. Very good. Hey, Andre, I will let you go, but take some action and then call on these people and see if you can form a little group. You never know what it turns out to for you, and especially for getting that book off the ground. I think that would be a good thing for you.
I think so too. Okay, yeah, this was inspirational. Thank you, Alf.
Likewise, thanks for getting on the call. I appreciate it. I snagged you in the last time there, so I figured I'd send you.
I'm the only one. I'm the very important one. Very important audience you have here. Yeah, I got to jump in the shower, and then Denmark's got to win.
There you go. Who are they playing? Okay. This is Slovenia, yeah? At what time?
Slovenia. They're playing at 9, but I got to be there for dinner at my friend's for 6:30, so I got an hour to jump in the shower and stuff.
Sounds like fun.
And you have fun supporting the Ukrainians. Okay.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.